If you know what the term brain rot is, you might already have it. If you or someone you love speaks almost exclusively in internet references like it's giving golden retriever boyfriend energy, show it to me, Rachel, very cutesy, very demure, very mindful, hot girl walks, almond mom, girl dinner, delulu, orange peel theory, or if you're even more cooked, you might be familiar with sigma, ris, phantom tax, or gyat. Then you may be suffering from a condition known as brain rot. Brain rot and internet culture move so rapidly that now slay, tea, and purr is already considered vintage. How do I know if I have brain rot? The term refers primarily to low-value internet content and the effects caused by spending too much time consuming it. So an example would be, I've been watching so many TikToks and now I have brain rot. Online discussions of brain rot has recently grown so widespread that some social media users have begun creating parodies of people who seem to embody the condition. Accusing someone of having brain rot is not a compliment, but some people show a hint of pride in admitting to the condition. A recent BuzzFeed quiz challenging readers on obscure internet trivia was headlined, "If you pass this brain rot quiz, your brain is 1000% cooked." One of the easiest ways to tell if someone's brain has been destroyed by social media is to notice how often they reference internet slang. Taylor Lawrence, the author of Extremely Online, The Untold Story of Fame, Influence and Power on the Internet, said she sees brain rot as synonymous with the phrase broken brain. Both online terms apply to those who have become so warped by what they see on the internet that they have lost the ability to function in the physical world, said Ms. Lawrence, who was previously a reporter for the New York Times. But what is brain rot? So brain rot, sometimes written as one word, so just brain rot, is a state of mental fogginess and cognitive decline that results from excessive screen engagement. Is brain rot real? It's not a medically recognized condition, but it is a real phenomenon. Brain rot is a condition of mental fogginess, lethargy, reduced attention span, and cognitive decline that results from an overabundance of screen time. One brain rot behavior is doom scrolling, which involves long periods of searching for negative and distressing news online. Or now it's just described as searching for a dopamine hit, so just scrolling for forever. Consequences of brain rot include difficulty organizing information, solving problems, making decisions, and recalling information. The term brain rot, which appeared online as early as 2007, is meant to be playful. But its rise in popularity relates to growing recognition of a disorder that researchers at Boston Children's Hospital have called problematic interactive media use. Michael Rich, a pediatrician who founded the Digital Wellness Lab at the hospital, said that his patients refer to brain rot as a way of describing what happens when you spend a lot of your time online and you have shifted your awareness over to the online space as opposed to IRL, and are filtering everything through the lens of what has been posted and what can be posted. When we spend hours surfing and scrolling, we consume huge quantities of meaningless data, negative news, and perfectly retouched photos of friends and celebrities that make us feel inadequate. Trying to absorb and cope with massive amounts of content creates mental fatigue, and that can lead to a drop in motivation, focus, productivity, and energy over time, especially in young people. Examples of brain rot behavior. So, brain rot behavior comes in various forms, including video gaming. While it's possible to game without getting addicted, some gamers play compulsively and develop gaming disorder. They become so entranced by video games, alternate worlds, fancy characters, and complicated plots that they can have difficulty functioning in other areas of life. Zombie scrolling. This brain rot behavior refers to mindless habitual scrolling with no destination in mind or benefit derived. When zombie scrolling, you vacantly stare at a smartphone as you jump from one feed to another. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling involves searching for distressing information and negative news. Doom scrollers feel an overwhelming desire to be up to date on the latest information, even when it's disturbing. Now a little asterisk here. Nowadays, when you talk about doom scrolling in general, it doesn't have anything to do with negative news or anything negative particularly. It just has to do with the fact that you're scrolling for forever, basically. So you're just scrolling without a destination. Social media addiction. Social media addiction is characterized by a persistent urge to check social media and a feeling of restlessness when you try to break the habit. So I'm gonna try to explain the terms. So many of the Gen Alpha kids who use Skibbity as a part of their daily lingo still don't really know what it actually means. It started with a now 76-part animated YouTube series called Skibbity Toilet. Now it's used to mean basically anything, but it's so big now that mainstream Hollywood has taken notice too. Director Michael Bay is set to give Skibbity Toilet the film and TV treatment with a franchise that's in the works. Beryl, who is age 11, said, "You don't really use it in sentences, you kind of just say it randomly." "You can describe someone as Skibbity," she said, "but it's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a weird thing." Sigma, for example, means someone who is cool or a leader, kids said. Ohio, on the other hand, means weird or cringe, based on memes that reference only in Ohio, type of incidents that happen in the state. And then we have negative aura, which has replaced the bad vibes. And phantom tax just means to steal something, or to give phantom tax. Many of the terms originate on video game focused live streaming apps like Twitch, and were popularized by viral streamers like Kai Cenat, a gamer with 13 million followers. The term riz, meaning charisma or charm, for example, was used first on his stream. So was phantom tax, named after Kai Cenat's friend Phantom, who once stole a piece of his food during a live stream. Even if you are not obsessed with the Gen Alpha slang, you probably have heard someone around you mention a Gen Z slang in real life. Gen Z is cooked. The fact that the word Gen Z has become one of the most popular words to throw around is baffling, and it got me thinking, when did we actually start categorizing generations? So we actually started categorizing generations during the 20th century. These generational names are a fairly recent cultural phenomenon, and they vary depending on the source. Historians generally agree that the naming of generations began in the 20th century. Carl Mannheim, who presented himself as a sociologist of knowledge rather than history, developed a theory of generations in 1927 during a period of rapid modernization. The ascendancy of the concept today also reflects the rapidity of social change. So even though the concept of categorizing the generations came about 1927, it wasn't properly used until late 2010 and exploded in early 2020. Gen Z is experiencing an uprising of loneliness, feeling unfulfilled, fear of missing out, body image issues, and feeling old. With a rapid rise in social media usage among younger and younger age groups, a girl declaring on TikTok that she's over the age of 28 is met with comments like, "Wow, you don't look like it," as if 28 has suddenly become confused with 58. Bullying someone's appearance has become more and more popular, with comments such as, "I could smell the comments from a mile away," or "I ran to the comments," or anything similar is synonymous with the user seeing someone ugly and being able to predict that the comments would be degrading or bullying how they look. Other comments such as, "Oh, she ate and ate and ate and ate," have also become standard to see commented on a bigger person's post. Feeling of FOMO, or fear of missing out, and feeling unfulfilled are also on the rise as more and more girls usually share their highlights. Now, this phenomenon is nothing new, as people would do this exact thing on Instagram as well. But with TikTok's algorithm, you have no idea who these people are most of the time. On Instagram, you usually get who you're following in your feed, and not strangers having an amazing time. Parasocial relationships with normal people. Now, in my other video, Is Being an Influencer Dangerous? Check it out, I'll link it up in the corner right now, maybe here, maybe there, I don't know yet. I talk about people having parasocial relationships with influencers and YouTuber personalities, or TikTok or Instagram influencers. but famous influencers that work with social media. But with the rise of more people sharing their intimate details of their lives on TikTok, the viewers feel like they're friends or that they know them personally. It might feel like they're your friends when you share so many details about yourself online, on both good and bad. Interacting with people online might trick you into thinking you're socializing with people, but in the end, it just makes you feel even more lonely. Because you don't want to be an NPC, you don't want to be just a viewer, you want to have main character energy. What is an iPad baby? An iPad baby glued to the glowing screen of a tablet might help avoid a meltdown, but too much screen time can have serious downsides. If you've ever tried to take away a baby or a toddler's dirty, sticky iPad playing Cocomelon at full volume, you know the struggle. Their grubby little hands turn into the hands of John Cena, and you'd have a higher chance of winning the lottery than being able to take it away from them. So what is an iPad baby? While you won't find the term iPad baby or iPad kid in any official dictionary, it's a suitable term that covers both the cause and the effects of a new style of parenting, or a lack thereof, which consists of using digital devices as a form of a pacifier for children's disorderly behavior. iPad kids are children whose main or sole form of entertainment comes from digital devices, most commonly an iPad. Psychotherapist Amy Morin emphasizes that elementary school children with more than 2 hours of screen time daily are more likely to have emotional, social, and attention problems. This was backed up by a long-term study of 2,441 mothers and children that showed poor performance rates of behavioral, cognitive, and social development screening tests at 36 months, with higher screen times between the ages of 24 to 36 months. This is because screen time limits children's ability to read faces, which normally allows them to gain social skills and empathy. Until babies develop language, all communication is non-verbal, so they depend heavily on looking at a face and deriving meaning from that face. So for example, is this person happy with me or are they angry with me? Kids need boredom to function in society, as it allows them to spark creativity, gain problem-solving skills, develop planning strategies, and be flexible. The biggest thing is that boredom teaches kids that life isn't always in their favor. I'm gonna share a story with you from an article I read on Vice. I once lived with someone who had a 2-year-old goddaughter. Occasionally, this wee lass was allowed to play on an iPad. One day, my housemate saw her goddaughter spot a butterfly fluttering outside the window. Her tiny toddler hand reached out and her thumb and forefinger made a sort of pincer movement, like this. At first, my housemate was baffled, but then she realized her goddaughter was trying to zoom in on the butterfly. This story has stuck with me because, well, it's completely nuts. This kid wouldn't feed herself for God's sake, and yet had mastered a digital zooming motion. She thought the window or reality itself was a big screen. At the time, I remember a feeling of dread creeping over me, a sense that something terrifying was coming our way. I suddenly realized the human race was breeding and raising iPad kids. A study was published when they compromised 7,097 mother and child pairs, with the key question being how screen time ranging from 1 to 4 hours beginning at age 1 affects development from ages 2 to 4. The study found that kids who had more than 4 hours of screen time were almost 5 times more likely to have grown into stunted communication skills, 2 times more likely to have stunted personal and social skills, and nearly 2 times more likely to have stunted fine motor skills. Content farming. So content farming for kids' YouTube channels refers to a practice where companies or creators mass produce low quality, repetitive or clickbait style content aimed at younger audiences. These videos are churned out at an extremely fast pace with the sole purpose of generating views, engagement and ad revenue, rather than providing meaningful or educational content. So how do they work? For content farms, the goal is always to generate views, watch time, and in turn, ad revenue. To do this, content farms make a massive amount of content in the most shallow, clickbaity way possible. Even more concerning, these videos often target children, who are more likely to watch videos multiple times. The unbelievable titles and exaggerated thumbnails seem geared towards a younger audience. Because these channels prioritize click rates, the visual appeal of the craft is more important than its actual usefulness or effectiveness. So for content farms that are for older people, like 5-minute hacks or like DIY hacks, many hacks and crafts are faked for the video and won't work at all if you try them at home. In fact, the more outrageous the craft, the more attractive it will be to the viewer, even if they're just there to hate watch. So for 5-minute crafts or any DIY type channel that do highly saturated content, they don't really care if the craft or the DIY hack works. Additionally, these channels will often recycle each other's content or rehash videos posted by other creators. Using multiple related channels lets companies like The Soul upload even more mass-produced content. With such low production standards, it's no wonder these companies can flood the YouTube algorithm with thousands of videos per month. Content farm channels use clickbait titles and thumbnails to get page views and clicks on their videos. Usually for the craft channels, the title will be something like 5 cooking hacks you have to try, while the thumbnail might show something strange or outrageous. And oftentimes the image on the thumbnail, which depicts a craft or a DIY hack, is not even in the video at all. Many of the videos have disclaimers in their descriptions that state they are for entertainment purposes only. However, this is not included in the video itself, as such dangerous videos can harm young viewers who wouldn't think to look in the description. 5-minute crafts and fake DIY channels. The responsibility is placed on the viewer rather than the company putting out the video. An example seen in one video is cooking an egg in a microwave. When heated in this way, the egg can actually explode. If poorly timed, the egg might explode when removed from the microwave, and this could cause serious burns and injury. These content farm videos also use a lot of imagery, colors and commentary that may interest young children. There's a YouTuber called Visual Venture that did a video on content farms called The Alarming Rise of YouTube Content Farms. I'll link it in the description down below or on screen right now, if you guys want to check out that video for yourself. But one of the examples that he uses when it comes to content farming for kids is the YouTube channel Lanky Box. Now, if you're like me and you have never heard of a channel called Lanky Box, you might think this is just some above average kids channel on YouTube. But I was baffled to find out that they have 40 million subscribers. Some days they are uploading upwards of 10 videos a day and a minimum of 2 videos per day. All of their thumbnails are highly saturated, extremely colorful, and sometimes kind of scary, but they are all heavily marketed towards kids. Using popular characters from Roblox, Sonic, and Poppy Playtime to get kids' attention. Psychological impact. Cognitive overload and mental health. Obsession or fixation on certain media, often referred to as hyperfixation, can lead to cognitive overload. This is when our brains are overwhelmed by excessive stimuli, particularly when consuming vast amounts of media. Cognitive overload reduces our ability to process information effectively, leading to issues such as forgetfulness, impaired decision-making, and a decrease in productivity. Studies have linked doom scrolling, endlessly consuming content, to anxiety, depression, and stress. It's particularly harmful because of its ability to trigger stress responses, such as elevated heart rates, which contribute to chronic stress and physical health issues like high blood pressure. Information fatigue and hyperfixation. Hyperfixation on certain media can cause information fatigue, which refers to feeling mentally drained due to constant information consumption. This state makes it difficult to focus and is linked to reduced well-being. If it's constant exposure to negative news, it increases existential anxiety, that is fear about one's future and the world's stability. Dangers of excessive phone use. Excessive phone use, particularly for activities like doom scrolling, can disrupt normal routines such as sleep patterns. Studies have found that those who engage in doom scrolling face increased risks of anxiety, sleep disturbances, and depression. Furthermore, this habit can lead to physical issues like eye strain, fatigue, and poor posture. But what can you do to fix this? Touch grass? Essentially, yes. There's a huge world beyond your screen. Here are some helpful tips you can do to stop using your phone so much. So tip number 1, set screen time, boundaries, and limits. So you can, for example, set a screen time. Schedule breaks and establish specific times when you can use your phone and when it's off limits. So you can avoid using your phone when you're eating something or the 1 hour before going to bed. And why you shouldn't watch your phone right before bed is because the blue light emitted from screens can interfere with sleep quality, and doom scrolling before bed can cause anxiety or stress that disrupts your sleep. Curate your feeds. Protect your headspace by being mindful of what you consume. Don't succumb to negative news. Unfollow accounts that regularly generate angry or anxious feelings. Populate your feeds with positive content that uplifts and inspires you. Pursue non-digital interests. Start doing hobbies or activities you enjoy. So touch grass, basically. Listen to music, play an instrument or learn how to play an instrument, write in a journal, read a book, go for a walk, learn a language, paint, sew, knit, exercise, practice yoga or meditation. Structure your time each day to do things that make you feel fulfilled. Time you spend is time you're never gonna get back. Strengthen your mind. If you're concerned your mind could be turning to mush, challenge it. The mind is like a muscle. It grows when you use it. Rather than scrolling, learn a foreign language or a new technical skill. Study a philosophical concept that expands your worldview. Sharpen your mind with mathematical or word puzzles. Develop your writing ability or read about a period in history you know nothing about. Resist the urge to slide into comfort scrolling. Retrain your brain instead. Or if you want to go all out, you can do a digital detox. Limiting screen time is good, but unplugging completely gives non-stop thinking a rest. It also allows you to become more aware of your thoughts, perceptions, and habits. One study found that taking just 7 days off social media significantly increased perceived mental well-being as compared to 7 days of social media use. A digital detox can take different forms. Start by taking short breaks from technology, by unplugging for 15 minutes at a time. Gradually extend that time or take more frequent breaks. Go out with friends and agree beforehand not to look at your phones the whole time. Work up to taking a day trip and keep your phone off the whole time. Even doing a detox of an entire day can be positive. And while detoxing, you can still watch a movie, read, do a hobby, or just relax and listen to music or a podcast. All of the sources I used for this video is linked in the description box down below. I did quite a lot of research for this video, and I just find it to be such a fascinating topic, how our phones have become an extension of ourselves, and in such a short time as well. I mean, the first iPhone was launched 2007. That's only 17 years ago. Not even 20 years has passed, and it's already made such a huge impact on humanity. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I post new videos every week, so subscribe and hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!